Welcome to Check This Out, podcast for kids.
And their grown-ups, where we explore people, places, ponderings, and past moments from history that shape the world around us. My name is Amy Contreras.
And I'm Cece.
Today we are talking all about natural wonder of the world,
Aurora Borealis.
Yes. Now, Aurora Borealis also famously goes by another name. Do you know what else it's called? Is it A, dancing lights, B, aurora in the sky, C, the northern lights?
Mama, can I guess? I think it's C.
Well, if you said C, the northern lights, you're correct. The Aurora Borealis is a natural wonder of the world that's so interesting. And what exactly the Aurora Borealis is was a mystery for a long time. In today's episode, we're going to learn about why the Aurora Borealis occurs in nature, how people have talked about it and interacted with the Aurora Borealis over the centuries, and learn about some of the myths and legends that surround it.
Let's get started.
But before we dive in, I think we have to take a quick pause because today's episode will be our 5th in our series on the natural wonders of the world.
Fancy.
We've already talked about so many.
The Grand Canyon, Mount Everest, the harbor of Rio de Janeiro, Paricutin volcano,
And now, Aurora Borealis. After today's episode, we will only have Victoria Falls and the Great Barrier Reef left to discuss in the series on the 7 natural wonders of the world. Time flies when you're having fun.
Woo! History.
So what is the Aurora Borealis, or the Northern Lights anyways?
Check this out.
The Aurora Borealis, which as we now know is also called the Northern Lights, is a naturally occurring light show that happens in the sky near the Arctic Circle, near the North Pole. It looks like shimmering curtains or waves of glowing colors in the sky. The colors are mostly green, but they can be pink, red, yellow, purple, and blue as well. You should ask a grown-up if you can look up what the Aurora Borealis or the Northern Lights looks like together so you can see them. Because they're visually so unlike anything else, it can be really hard to describe. But there are lots of pictures of the Northern Lights online, so you can get a sense of how incredible they are.
I'm excited to learn more.
The Aurora Borealis, or Northern Lights, were selected as a natural wonder of the world because of how unique and extraordinary and captivating this natural phenomena is. And when people see them, it evokes a sense of awe and wonder.
That is cool.
The Aurora Borealis is a natural wonder of the world for several reasons. Of course, there's the visual element, which is the spectacular display of colorful lights in the night sky. But another contributing factor is the unique interaction that happens between our planet and the sun. The Northern Lights phenomenon is a result of the interaction between particles from the sun and the Earth's magnetic fields and our atmosphere.
More on that later.
It's also a geographical rarity. So the Northern Lights, or the Aurora Borealis, are typically only visible near the polar regions, especially around the Arctic Circle. This geographical rarity contributes to how unique and wondrous this phenomenon is. There's also cultural significance to the Aurora Borealis. The Northern Lights holds cultural significance in various indigenous and northern communities. Many cultures have myths and stories associated with the Northern Lights, which has added to their mystique or mystery over the years. There are written recordings of people observing the Northern Lights as far back as the 4th century BC.
That was a long time ago.
Of course, there's a ton of scientific interest around the Aurora Borealis because there's so many scientific principles that contribute to this phenomenon. It involves solar wind, magnetic fields, atmospheric gases. All of these scientific elements contribute to how unique this wonder of the world is. And Aurora Borealis' designation as a natural wonder is because of just the unique beauty and sense of wonder it creates. So again, I really encourage you to look up pictures of the Aurora Borealis or the Northern Lights with a grown-up so you can understand just how visually unique they are. The northern lights are caused by tiny particles of energy that come from our sun, and they whiz towards Earth. When these particles hit the Earth's atmosphere, they mix with the air molecules and create these glowing colors. The colors are a reaction of the particles interacting with each other. The different colors of Aurora Borealis happen because there's different types of gases in the air, like oxygen and nitrogen, and there's different altitudes as well where the particles interact.
I want to check out more about that.
You know what? I'll even give you a little more detail right now.
I'm ready. Hit me with it.
We're obviously focused on talking about Aurora Borealis, or the northern lights, but this light show in the sky can happen near the north and south poles of the Earth. The northern lights are called Aurora Borealis, and those are what we're focusing on in this episode. But there are also the southern lights, which happen at the South Pole, and those are called Aurora Australis. These light shows near the North and South Poles appear when these tiny particles of energy stream out from the sun and hit our atmosphere. The particles give some of their energy to atoms and molecules of gases in the upper parts of the Earth's atmosphere, almost when you're out to outer space. But the atoms and molecules can't hold all that energy from the sun, so they quickly give it off as another kind of energy, which are the colors of light that are called the aurora.
Wow!
These lights occur most often around the North Pole and the South Pole because these incoming particles have an electric charge. And as the particles arrive, the Earth's magnetic field guides them towards the North and South Poles.
How incredible! That's amazing!
Yeah, science is cool. I think it makes sense why the Aurora Borealis, or the northern lights, are a natural wonder. You can see the Aurora Borealis mainly in places near the North Pole or that Arctic Circle area. So northern parts of countries like Norway, Sweden, Finland, Canada, even the state of Alaska of the United States. Sometimes, if the sun's solar activity is really high, or if the sun is giving off more energy than usual, people in slightly lower altitudes or places that are further south may also be able to see the lights. For example, historians think that the furthest south the northern lights have ever been seen was all the way down in Honolulu, Hawaii. That's only 21 degrees north of the equator, so that's super south to see these lights.
Oh my goodness!
This aurora in particular was seen during a great solar storm, or a big storm on the surface of the sun, in 1859. And so because there was this big solar storm, the sun was giving off more energy than usual, which made the northern lights brighter and more visible.
That makes sense.
People take special trips just to experience seeing the northern lights. Do you want to hear some more fun facts about the Aurora Borealis?
Here's a quick overview.
The name Aurora comes from the Roman goddess of the dawn. Aurora because the lights appear like a glowing dawn in the night sky. The astronomer Galileo Galilei named them. The northern lights are most visible during the winter months when the nights are long and dark. The Aurora Borealis was a mystery for a long time. When I say that, I mean like thousands of years. So there are a lot of legends about what the lights in the sky are caused by. In some cultures, people believe the lights were spirits or messages from the gods. And last fun fact, in some popular cities to see the northern lights, hotels will offer a wake-up call to alert guests if the northern lights are visible in the sky so they can wake up and go see them.
That's funny.
And here's one last cool fact. Different gases in the atmosphere and different altitudes produce the different colors of the northern lights. So for example, green is produced by oxygen and at altitudes of about 60 to 190 miles. Red also comes from oxygen, but at higher altitudes, like greater than 150 miles. And blue and purple come from nitrogen at lower altitudes.
I had no idea.
Check this out. We're currently experiencing a solar maximum, which means we're at the peak of the sun's 11-year cycle of magnetic activity. This means the sun is producing more sunspots, more solar flares, and coronal mass ejections, which are basically massive bursts of solar material that can supercharge the auroras on Earth. As a result, the northern lights are actually brighter than usual and can be seen even further south than normal.
Good to know.
People have wondered about the Aurora Borealis for thousands of years, long before it had its name. Speaking of, did you catch me mentioning which famous scientist named the Aurora Borealis? Was it
A,
Marie Curie,
B,
Isaac Newton,
C?
Galileo Galilei? If you said C, you're correct.
Here's a fun fact.
In the early 17th century, the astronomer and scientist Galileo Galilei named this phenomenon Aurora Borealis. Aurora was the Roman goddess of the dawn, and Boreas was the Greek name for the north wind. Galileo thought an aurora was caused by the sunlight reflected from the atmosphere.
I learned something new today.
A popular place to see the Aurora Borealis is in Finland. The Finnish name for the northern lights is Reventulet. What do you think that means? Do you think it means A, foxfires, B, colored lights, or C, ghost rainbow? If you said A, you're correct. Finnish legend says that the foxes made of fire lived in Lapland and their frisky tails whirled sparks into the sky, and that's what the northern lights were. There are so many stories associated with the Aurora Borealis, and they vary by country. For example, in Norway, legends tell stories that the lights are dancing maids in the heavens. People from long ago believed that they were waving at them.
What an amazing story!
Yeah, there are a lot of myths like that. You can find myths about the Northern Lights in many countries, including North America, Canada, Finland, Iceland, Sweden, Norway, Scotland, Denmark, France, Italy, Japan, China, and more.
You gotta be joking.
The Northern Lights are a global phenomenon and a natural wonder. Some cultures and people thought the Aurora Borealis were a good omen, but not all. For example, the Sámi, who are the native people of Norway, Sweden, and Finland, thought the Aurora Borealis were a bad omen and that singing or dancing or even whistling under them was dangerous. They thought the lights would bring bad luck. They preferred to stay indoors during the night when the northern lights were visible. The Sámi people thought that the lights were the souls of the dead, and if they accidentally got their attention, these souls of the dead would reach down and pick them up.
How scary.
It's just a story, but people have been wondering about and talking about the northern lights for thousands of years. I mentioned earlier the earliest writing about the lights comes from China in the 4th century BC. That's around 2,300 years ago, or 2,300 years ago.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. Norwegian professor Christian Birkeland was the very first scientist in the world to realize that the northern lights had something to do with the electromagnetic storms from the sun. And that wasn't until the early 1900s. So for truly thousands of years, people made up stories and wondered about the northern lights and what they were. Cece, we've learned so much about the Aurora Borealis today. Before we wrap up with a poem, do you know what I think it's time for?
It's time for a lightning round.
Yes, let's go. Here are 5 questions about the Aurora Borealis.
Question number 1.
What is the difference between Aurora Borealis and Aurora Australis?
A.
Aurora Borealis are the northern lights and Aurora Australis are the southern lights.
B.
They have different colors.
C.
Nothing, they're the same. If you said A, you're correct.
Question number 2.
What was the name of the professor who discovered the northern lights had to do with storms on the surface of the sun? Was it A, Professor George Sámi, B, Professor Christian Birkeland, C, Professor Charles Xavier? If you said B, you're right. Professor Christian Birkeland first hypothesized that the northern lights were caused by electromagnetic storms on the sun in the early 1900s. It was not until the 1970s, years after his death, that Birkeland's theories were proved to be correct. These were proved to be correct thanks to satellite observations and the space age, where we learned a lot more about the sun and outer space.
Question number 3.
What causes the different colors in the Aurora Borealis? A combination of the gases and altitude that the energy particles hit in the atmosphere. B, the angle of the sun hitting the Earth. C, the intensity of the storms on the sun and their energy.
If you think the answer is A, you're correct.
Different colors of the Aurora Borealis are caused by different gases in our atmosphere and the various altitudes at which they interact.
Question number 4.
This is a tricky one. Do the northern lights make noise? Yes or no? This one is tricky since we didn't tell you about it during the episode. But the answer is yes. You don't just see the Aurora Borealis, you can hear it too. Many people have heard static or hissing sounds, almost like a radio while they're viewing the lights. Essentially, what's happening is a negative electrical charge gets trapped in a portion of the atmosphere where the temperature increases with the altitude rather than decreases, which is what normally happens. So when a major solar storm happens on the sun and it hits the Earth, it releases the negative electrical charge, which creates the snapping and crackling noises that are sometimes heard with the northern lights.
Whoa, no way.
Okay, we have one more question in the lightning round. What does Aurora Borealis mean? A, Aurora Borealis comes from the name of the daughter of the scientist who coined the term. B, scientists were naming things alphabetically, so they used the letters A and B. C, the name is from the Roman goddess of the dawn, Aurora, and the Greek god of the north wind, Boreas. If you said C, you're right. When scientist Galileo Galilei named the phenomenon, he named it for Aurora and Boreas.
Great work, everyone.
Wow. We just learned so much about this natural wonder of the world, the northern lights or the Aurora Borealis. But we don't just love learning about the natural wonders of the world.
We also love to rhyme.
We wrote you a poem about Aurora Borealis. Dancing in the skies near icy poles, charged particles make their glow a show. From the sun they come with a bursting blast, Aurora Borealis meeting Earth's magnetic field at last. Oxygen and nitrogen give color to the scene, a rainbow of green, red, purple, and blue sheen. Bright as foxes with their fiery tails, lighting up the night in the Arctic trails. Legends say in Norway, the lights dance with grace, maidens in the heavens, a magical place. Some thought spirits played in the air, stories of the northern lights from everywhere. If you look up on a winter's night and see these lights so wild and bright, remember the wonder, the stories they tell of the northern lights, a magical spell. Thank you for listening to another episode of Check This Out. We use verified sources when creating episodes for you.
Our sources are
NASA, Highlights Magazine, Space.com, Let'sTalkScience.ca, the Natural History Museum of London, and Forbes.com.
Thanks for listening. See you next episode. Don't forget to subscribe.